Cool tricks aren't just about swallowing swords or hiding elephants in plain sight. Sometimes a cup of hot beverage and a spoon are enough. Just tap the bottom of the cup and... Do you hear a sound? One more time. The sound is higher now. Each time the tapping will change. This is the hot chocolate effect, but it also works with hot water. The secret lies in the gas bubbles, which reduce the speed of sound moving through the liquid, lowering its frequency. As the bubbles clear, sound travels faster in the liquid and the frequency increases. Even if you like to tap your cup when you drink your hot cocoa, you probably didn't notice these changes. Just like you don't notice how your brain is tricked. The brain is an extremely complex organ, and even the coolest scientists still don't fully understand how it works. Forget about the unexplored depths of the ocean or the endless outer space. The real mystery lies within each of us. And to prove how strange the brain can be, just look at this image. You've probably seen pictures of Abraham Lincoln. This is just another photo, but this time it's upside down. Nevertheless, it looks okay, but turn it right side up and, oh my God, what did they do to poor Lincoln? These are the effects of climate change. Well, actually, evolution is to blame. In order to understand what it is seeing and read any expression quickly, our brain pays special attention to the eyes and the mouth. In the upside down photo of Lincoln, the eyes and mouth aren't actually upside down, but you didn't notice. But if you flip the photo again, your brain sees the problem right away. But your brain doesn't choose the easy way out because it's lazy, it's just that it's really busy. It spends a lot of energy analyzing what's going on as fast as it can. It's like a mega complex computer that needs to load a bunch of different programs at the same time while using the minimum amount of RAM. Or like a very tired employee of some government agency. You got your ID? Come in. Even if it's a picture of your late grandma. Eyes? Great. They look like regular eyes. Next? This way, the brain controls thousands of processes simultaneously, and it turns off, as you know, only during exams.
F*** you, science!
To fool the brain, all you have to do is look at some optical illusion. It seems like the heart is beating, but put the video on pause and you'll see that the picture keeps moving. How come? Maybe I ate the wrong mushrooms. Or the brain is to blame again. And it controls all the other organs, which are also quite busy, by the way. The easiest way for the brain to explain a repetitive pattern is with movement, and that's what's happening here. But it's not only responsible for that effect, because your eyes are also the problem. In the middle of the human eye, more exactly the retina, there's a hole. Your optic nerve goes from the retina to the brain through this hole. Nevertheless, you can't see through it at all, even if you try very hard. But it's not fun having a blind spot in front of you all the time, so your pupil makes small movements back and forth, like an endless dance, and the brain is trained to complete the image. It's a whole neural network created by evolution. The trick is that when the eye makes these micro moves, the rest of the field of vision is also slightly deformed, and the brain decides that the picture is moving, because how else do you explain it? To completely confuse your brain, you can run your eyes over this picture. It's certainly moving, right? But not only optical illusions created by people can deceive you, even the moon does it on a daily basis, and it doesn't have to do anything special at all, only rise above the horizon. Have you noticed that in this position, the moon seems bigger than when it's high in the sky? Of course, it doesn't sneak up closer to Earth when you look at it. In fact, scientists have not yet agreed on the reason for the moon's strange behavior. According to one version, it's all about the horizon. Our brain is used to the fact that things decrease when they're closer to the horizon. If you stand on a road and look at the trees growing along it, the furthest one will look like a branch sticking out of the ground. At the same time, the closest one to you will be of normal size. But in fact, all these trees are the same height. Another version states that the problem is in the distance. When you look at the moon on the horizon, your eyes can focus on the things around it. While your brain knows that you're looking into the distance, it also knows that the moon is big. But as soon as it rises up into the sky, there's nothing around it, and your eyes can't focus on anything else. So the brain thinks that the moon is much closer, and it seems smaller. By the way, people say that if you bend down and look at the moon from between your legs, there won't be any illusion. We haven't checked, but if you do, let us know in the comments. And try not to hurt yourself in the process. Okay, let's fool your brain right now without using any images. Sit down first. You won't feel dizzy or anything like that. We just want you to be more comfortable. Now lift up your right leg and start moving it clockwise. While you're doing this, thinking that this is a very weird way to spend your time, draw the number 6 with your right index finger in the air. Holy Moses, now your leg's moving counterclockwise. That's because the half of the brain that controls the right side of your body and is responsible for the synchrony just can't cope with two opposing movements. Now let's talk about something serious. According to a recent study, caffeine consumption is closely linked to cancer. You think that's true? Okay, relax. There was no such study. There's no connection between caffeine and cancer, but we can predict your reaction depending on your coffee habits. If you can't live without caffeine in the morning, you were probably skeptical about the news. But if you don't consume caffeine, then you probably thought the research was right. This is known as self-serving bias. People tend to interpret information in a way that allows them to perceive themselves in an overly favorable manner. The brain is a pretty picky guy. The world's most prejudicial foodie will refuse to eat a dish that contains an ingredient they do not like, even if the dish is heavenly delicious. The same happens with our subconscious. It simply refuses to consider the most normal facts in the world to be true if they don't match our personal beliefs, and vice versa. It gladly believes anything that fits into your picture of the world. That's why it's so difficult to persuade conspiracy theorists of anything, but we don't judge anyone here. Another similar effect is known as fundamental attribution error. It's easy to understand, and you've probably experienced it. Imagine you're driving into a parking lot and see that another car has taken 2 spaces instead of 1. And not because it's big. The driver simply couldn't park like a normal person. Your first thought would be, maybe some bad words, and then you'll probably think that the driver is a complete idiot who shouldn't be driving a car in the first place. In other words, you tend to attribute other people's behavior to their fundamental personality without taking into account other circumstances. But you have no idea what was happening in the parking lot before the driver took 2 places at once. Maybe the other cars weren't parked very well and the driver just didn't have a choice. That's how a fundamental attribution error works. It also happens if you're driving. If you're in a rush and speeding, you probably have a reason for that. But if someone else overtakes your car, I hate these street racers. This isn't Fast and Furious. Sound familiar? And while you're yelling at those careless drivers, look at the wheel of this car. It seems that it's not moving. Wait, what? Now it seems to be spinning in the opposite direction. And now it's spinning forward. Nobody broke the laws of physics or your car, although someone might have hacked your brain. Our eyes are capable at operating at 200 frames per second when processing a static image. But what if the image suddenly starts moving? Then our brain can pick up about 13 frames per second. The faster the wheels spin, the less time the brain has to understand the movement. So it makes a rather strange conclusion that the wheel is not spinning at all. I can't see the movement, so it's not moving. Well, if the wheels spin even faster, the brain gets totally confused and decides that the wheel is moving counterclockwise. Why not? It just doesn't understand anything anymore. But let's say you're not in the mood to stare at the moon and you don't drive either. Instead, you're at home, about to do some work, but you have to have the right music. Why? To make it easier to concentrate. People often listen to music while they're doing a task, whether it's preparing for an exam, driving a car, or even reading a book. Some people even claim that the best soundtrack for their life is music from video games. It's the best way to help you focus. And there's a reason for that. It's all because the special way our brain functions. It needs something midway between songs you want to dance to and calm, monotonous sounds. Video game soundtracks have a very specific purpose. They create an atmosphere without distracting you from the game, so they're perfect for concentration. It took composers years to find the perfect balance, and they keep experimenting. We want to share a really fun illusion. It's called the rubber hand illusion. It's a rather simple experiment that makes a person think that the fake hand in front of them is real. It doesn't require hypnosis, and you need just a few seconds to confuse the brain. As a result, your brain won't just think it's your actual hand, but also feel the touch or a hit. At the same time, your real hand is right there, but out of sight, and the brain just ignores it. Why wouldn't it if there's a cool rubber hand right next to it? By the way, do you see your hand? We hope it's okay, because now would be a good time to give us a like, subscribe, and click on the bell. See you soon.